G'day everyone, you're watching The Crashed Alien, and today on the channel we're going to take a look at a video by Big Think about why diversity is more important than meritocracy.
In my experience, most CEOs and boards get the power of diversity. You know, there may be some who are giving it lip service still out there, but in my travels, these individuals understand that not only is it the fair thing to do, and it's really the tenets upon which our country was built.
Well, Sally, this will all depend on what sort of diversity you're talking about. If you're talking about diversity of opinion and diversity of skill, yeah, I can see your point. But if you're talking about diversity based on things like, say, gender, or skin color, or ethnicity, then no, it's why would you hire somebody just because of their gender, skin color, or ethnicity?
But it's really the smart thing to do. Financial results, reaching different customer bases, I think they get it. Sadly, middle management is where diversity goes to die. And I've been thinking about this a lot recently because there's research I've recently come across that says that diversity is actually worse in meritocracies.
Well, again, Sally, this will depend on what sort of diversity you're talking about. In a meritocracy, you're hiring someone based on their skills and how good they are at the job that they're being hired for. So when you say that there's no diversity, so this is why I ask you what diversity you're talking about. Because when you hire people based on merit, it's still extremely diverse because the most diverse person is the individual. Everybody's had different experiences growing up, everybody lives a different life, and everybody is different to the person next to them. So I don't understand how you can say that they're not diverse, unless you're taking the collectivists route of you're all white people, or you're all male, or you're all this, or you're all that, and you think that the only way to be diverse is to group people by gender, or by race, or by ethnicity, and that you have to have somebody from a different one of those groups in order to be diverse.
We tend to allow ourselves in this country to ask the wrong question. And the question we usually ask when hiring people is, can you help me find the best person for the job? The best person for the job, our cognitive shortcuts, is typically someone who reminds us so darn much of ourselves. Whereas what we should be asking is, can you help me fill out the best team, right? Build the best team with diverse skill sets, etc.
It's strange you say this part about building the best team with the most diverse skills, and I can understand how having a team with a diverse skill set can be a benefit. So if you're hiring somebody who has a broad set of skills, or a set of skills that would fit in well to your company, wouldn't you then be basing that person off their merits?
So as a CEO, my advice is changing. My advice is to often override the meritocracy. That this desire to let your managers manage, honey, we tried it. Right? Nothing more meritocratic than Wall Street, and look what happened there, the most homogeneous of environments, and financial crisis. And so to put metrics out there, to pay managers on diversity, is, I think, the only way to drive it. And as for the old diversity committee, which you sort of did that 10 years ago, and look, we're working on diversity because we have it, if you've had something in place for 5 and 10 years and your diversity is not moving forward, it's time to stop it.
This is why I keep saying that it all depends on what sort of diversity you're talking about. Whether you're talking about diversity of opinion, or whether you're talking about diversity of gender, race, or ethnicity.
It's time to do something different, to change the tired mentoring program into a sponsorship program. You know, to set those quotas, I know we hate the word quota, to set those goals, to pay people on those goals, to try to do something that's different.
So it's when you say stuff like quotas that concern me, because the people who ask for quotas are the same kind of people that say you should hire black people because they're black, and you need to have a black person on your company because reasons. Now, you can change the word from quota to goal or to target, whatever you want, but what you're trying to do is still there. Now, I'm not going to say that this is what you wanted to do because you're not really giving us anything tangible to work with. But when you use words like quota, it makes me think that you're part of this PC culture to try and force companies to hire people based on their race, gender, or ethnicity.
P.S. It's not a pipeline issue. It's not a lack of talent issue. You know, there are plenty of women, there are plenty of professional women, there are plenty.
There you go again, sort of muddying the waters. You say there's plenty of women out there, like a company should be hiring a woman for the simple fact that they have a vagina.
Of people of all kinds of diverse cognitive perspectives out there. It's not just bringing them in and letting the organization work. The organization is working against you.
See, now here's where you get really confusing. You say that there's a huge amount of people out there with diverse opinions and thoughts. So you're for the idea that individuals all have different experiences and different thoughts and different ideas, but somehow that's not diverse enough at the same time. You see why people are being confused by you, Sally, or think what you're spouting is a bunch of nonsense? Just look at the downvotes on this video.
There is no doubt in my mind that the financial crisis that the United States and the world suffered would have been less severe if we'd had more diversity on Wall Street. There's no doubt.
And again, which diversity are you talking about? Yes, you may have avoided the crisis if you had people with more skill sets or different skill sets or something like that. But if you're saying that, if we had more black people and more women and more Asians and more Hispanics in Wall Street, yeah, we would have avoided the crisis. How?
We know this intuitively if all of us think about those cavernous trading floors where the individuals populating the trading desks looked the same.
See, there you go again, spouting off about how everyone there looked the same. This is what makes me think you're for diversity of ethnicity and gender and crap like that. Because you say stuff like, they all looked the same. It doesn't matter if they all looked the same. How would their race or their gender have had any effect on the financial crisis? Please tell me how their skin color or their gender or their ethnicity would have affected the outcome of the financial crisis. Please tell me.
That if those had been, incredibly diverse, sort of the United Nations of every different kind of person you could have, we intuitively know that the crisis would have been less severe. We intuitively know that if there were more women at the senior leadership tables, that the crisis would have been less severe.
We intuitively know, do we? Who's we and how do we intuitively know this? I don't know that many people that are sitting there thinking, yeah, we could have avoided this financial crisis if we just hired more black people and more women. Who is intuitively thinking that? If you're saying we, as in the general population, again, I refer you to the amount of downvotes on this video.
And not only do we know it intuitively, the research tells us this. The research tells us that homogenous teams tend to overtrust each other.
First, citation needed. And second, what do you mean about homogenous group? Are you basing this homogenous group on the color of their skin or their gender? Or are you basing this homogenous group on they all think alike? Because it's very hard to prove that all these people think alike when they're all individuals with different thought.
We're sitting here today in the early months of the Trump administration. And the pictures of the leadership are startling and striking in that it is not unusual to see a picture of all white males, whether that's all white males huddled around, in the Oval Office, huddled around the president on the telephone, or whether it's all white males making decisions about our health care.
Let me make this perfectly clear for you, Sally. I do not give a shit whether everyone huddled around any given president is all the same skin color or all the same gender. All I give a shit about is whether or not these people are the best person at their given job. If they are, that's all that matters. In what way does there need to be women in there? In what way does there need to be black people in there? How does their skin color affect their job? How does their skin color make them any better at doing their job the way they do it? Should Trump just pull a Justin Trudeau and fire half his staff because, hey, you guys don't have a vagina? And I need to have people in here that have vaginas because current year. Alright guys, that's everything for this video. I thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll catch yous all later. See ya.